In today's episode, we are going to hear all about the evidence against Jose Ibarra and how they caught up with him the very next day after the murder. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Merry Christmas. Happy Thanksgiving. All that good stuff because the cold air finally arrived just in time for me to wear my new sweater. Welcome, everybody. So I'm going to recap day 2 of the case. The state of Georgia versus Jose Ibarra, who is a citizen of Venezuela and is illegally here in our country. Now, one of you mentioned, how does he have any rights? That's a great question. I think the long and short of it is he's going to end up back in Venezuela as soon as Donald Trump takes office. He's out of here. In any case, this is a bench trial. It's in front of the judge. There's no jury. So yesterday, I noticed that he has filled up the jury box with the media. Every single person in that box has a laptop. And at one point they took a break and he said, y'all want to go back to the jury room? Kind of funny. Anyway, so this courtroom's packed. This case gained notoriety when Donald Trump used this as an example during his campaign of how illegal immigrants are in this country to murder our citizens. Now, like I said yesterday, I hope this was an isolated incident. And we don't know that he's guilty, but listen to this evidence that I have for you today. So I'm going to talk about one of the University of Georgia police officer. He took the stand. He talked about how they found Laken's cell phone. They were there for hours after the body was discovered, shortly after noon on the 22nd. She had gone running that morning. Her roommates came home. They were not able to find her. They went looking for her, still couldn't find her, called the police. They came out, searched, found the body, called in the crime scene people, and it took them till like 6 o'clock that night before they removed the body. And they had been looking that entire time for a cell phone and could not find it. So once they figured it must be underneath her body, and because they can't look, they did all that CPR, but they can't look and see if her cell phone's on top of her. And keep in mind, she was moved. She was not in the original place where the first responding officer found her, because during CPR, they moved her to a flatter area to maybe make the CPR more effective. So she really wasn't even in her original place, but that's the only place they could figure out the cell phone was. So once her body was taken to the medical examiner's office, this was around 7 o'clock at night, they were able to look under her, where her body had been, and the cell phone was not there either. So they spent the next 25 minutes in the dark, going around this area, like I said, hands and knees, flashlights. And this officer finally shined his flashlight and noticed something. The following morning, well, let me back up. So by the time this officer left that night after finding the cell phone, collecting the evidence, they had found the jacket in the dumpster. The Athens Clark County officer found that evidence in the dumpster, the jacket. So he goes over there because, it's the University of Georgia's case. So he goes over there thinking, this might be relevant to our case. And he says, yes, I think that jacket is relevant. Go ahead and collect it. They didn't know how it was relevant yet. But while he was there, he and the other officers noticed that it was this apartment complex. And they noticed that one of the buildings facing the dumpster where they found the jacket had a Ring camera. So they go over and knock on the door, and they get there's like, is the camera working? And he's like, oh yeah, the camera's working, and they got video. And that video showed at 9:43 a.m. a man walking up to the dumpster. Well, he walks up to the dumpster and he deposits gloves in the woods. We know that they were gloves now. We didn't know at the time what it was, but so he put something in the dumpster and into the woods. So now video of that, we also have an enhanced video of this. So what they of this. So what they did the following morning, after this officer went home, got a shift of sleep, he comes back the next day and they start canvassing the entire apartment for video footage. And they figure out that person in this video. Well, first they pull all kinds of video. Well, no, how did it go? Yeah. They first figure out who it is. Somebody identifies, oh, that's Jose Ibarra. They live in Unit 126. So this officer got down from the stand and he actually pointed out, they put up an overhead map, and he points out where the Peeping Tom victim, her building was located, where the Laken Riley's apartments were located, the area where her body was found, and then the apartments. So he points all that out.
Show the court what we're looking at here in State 175. I want to start with, use your pointer, where'd the pointer go? I want to start with the apartment complex that we see here in this video, the UFI video. It's at States 172. Where is that in this diagram?
The complex is right here in this area.
Okay. And where was Laken Riley's body discovered?
Right here in the intramural.
And there's an incident that we're going to talk about a little later, which is Building S. Where is that located in here?
This building right here.
Okay, with an S on it for the record. And then is Laken Riley's residence also depicted in here?
It is, yes.
Could you show us that?
It's 1686 Village Avenue Extension.
All right. So distance-wise, did you measure all of these distances?
Yes.
Okay. So I'd like you to tell us for the record, the distance between Laken Riley's body and that dumpster that we see in this UFI video, what is that distance?
Roughly 400, 450 yards.
The distance between Building S and Laken Riley's body, what is that distance?
I believe it was roughly 400 yards.
The distance between Building S and that dumpster is what?
150 yards.
Okay.
Roughly.
All right. Is there a camera, a trail cam, or was there at the time? Did the University of Georgia Police Department have a trail cam up near Building S?
Yes, we had a trailer cam set up in front of Building S at the time, around this area.
Okay, right next to where the pedestrian is depicted in this
Yes, there was
exhibit.
a bus stop that was here, and it was right in front of the bus stop.
out. Then they put up another overhead of just the apartments, and they're alphabetized A, B, C, and D.
How many different buildings are in this apartment complex?
5.
Okay. And what are their numbers or letters? Excuse me.
It is a A through E.
Do you did you eventually learn in this case where Jose Ibarra was living at this time?
Yes.
Where was he living?
Delta 126.
So show us Building D in this video or in this photograph.
It is the one labeled D right here in the top of the picture.
Okay, and before I go back to the UFI video, well, in the UFI video, we see the individual dump the jacket and then walk towards the bushes and then walk away.
Yes.
In what direction was that person walking?
Walking towards building E and then northeast area of the dumpster.
Would that be towards building D?
Yes, building D is also in that direction.
All right. Are there cut-throughs, or sometimes called cuts, between the apartment complex and the road that we see on the edge of 156?
Yes, there are two main cut-throughs.
Tell us, first of all, what is the road that we see?
Millage Avenue Extension.
Is that the same road that Laken Riley lived on?
Yes.
How do you get from the apartment complex onto Millage Avenue Extension?
The easiest way would be through one of the two cut-throughs.
Show us the cut-throughs.
The first one is between building C and D. Right here, there's a little cut-through area here. And then the second is between B and C where the dumpster is. That's another cut-through.
Where's building S in this photograph, and what direction?
It's up here.
All right, at the very top.
Yes.
All right, thank you. And when I say building S, I mean building S at the University of Georgia Housing.
B, C, and D.
Thank you.
So they found out that Jose lived in Unit D, 126. So they go to Unit 125 and 124, and lo and behold, they've got ring camera footage. So they look at this footage and they see that they say footage of Diego and Jose, and you can clearly see Diego is taller than his brother and thinner than his brother, and he walks very differently than his brother, I think. So some of that footage that they pulled from the other apartments showed that at 10:21, now we know at 9:43 the man puts the stuff in the dumpster. At 10:21, Jose has changed his clothes, and he goes out of the house and he puts something else into the dumpster. So when after they pull the footage, they go and search the dumpster to see what he dumped, and they didn't find anything, but they later learned that the dumpster had been emptied 45 minutes after he put that in there. Lucky they found that jacket when they did, or they may have never figured this out. Well, they would have figured it out. There's more to come. This guy just completely oblivious to the fact that there's cameras everywhere. So there's several videos that were shown that they got from various apartments, even going back to February 19th, where they're wearing similar clothing. The shirt that Jose, or the guy putting the stuff in the dumpster, you see Jose and other footage wearing that shirt.
It been picked up by the trash service.
Next ring on D124. What's the date and time of this one?
This one is February 19th, 2024 at 02:02 a.m.
And this is what the next video. What is this date?
This is February 21st, 2024, around midnight 21.
Do you recognize the person in this video, this clip?
Yes, that is Diego Ibarra.
The next one, I'm going to pause it real quick while it's running. What is the date and time of this one?
February 21st, 2024 at midnight 31.
And do you recognize the person in this video?
That is Jose Ibarra. And that is Diego Ibarra.
All right, now stop this one. Is it the fifth video? What's the date and time of this one?
February 21st, 2024 at 7:02 p.m.
All right, do you see the shirt in that video?
I do, yes.
And have you seen that shirt before?
Yes, I have.
Where did you see that shirt?
This is the shirt that Jose Ibarra was wearing in the B-32 video. I captured him discarding the jacket in the dumpster.
Shirt. So what this officer then did, he went to the surrounding businesses in the area, 6 different businesses, and each business had 4 different cameras. So he got footage from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. for February 22nd. And went through that entire thing himself. Like, that's a lot of footage. Didn't find anything with Jose or Diego or anybody on it. So in cross-examination, this officer, because it turns out he's the lead investigator. I didn't realize that. But he said, it's yes, I was titled the lead investigator, but, it was a joint effort between all of us. So the defense points out that he says, well, because he said, well, I was aware of everything. I know everything that was going on. Yes, it was a, joint effort, but I, like captain of the ship, I was aware of everything. So, well, were you aware that the DNA swabs from the phone were not sent for testing? And he was sort of blindsided by that one. He couldn't deny it. He says, no, it wasn't sent for testing. First, he couldn't recall, and that kind of thing. Then he said, well, were you aware that the DNA swabs from underneath the fingernails of Jose Ibarra were never sent? And he was a little stumped by this one. He goes, yeah, I think they were. And he's like, you sure? So, yeah, I got the feeling that these couple of pieces of evidence can get sent to the lab. But after you hear all the other evidence, you're probably going to want to go, so what? Yeah. Because there's way more evidence. Anyway, on the 23rd, that morning, by that morning, they know that they're looking for people in Unit 126. So they see at 8:37, they detain Diego. He goes outside the apartment for a cigarette. So they see him and ask him for his identification, and he gives them a fake green card and 2 dates of births on it. So it's kind of a giveaway. So if nothing else, now they're detaining him for immigration issues. So, but one of the reasons they detained him, and I mean by detaining, I mean they all just gathered in front of the apartment. They were talking to him, the officer, and then a couple more officers came. So there's body cam footage of this. And he was wearing the Adidas hat that we see in the original video. So they're thinking, maybe this is the guy. Maybe it's not Jose, maybe it's this guy. So they were waiting for a search warrant to enter the home. So while they're waiting, another guy comes out of the house. His name is, what is his name? Rehedes. Rehedes is the third brother who looks nothing like Jose and Diego. He comes out and they start questioning him. And they detain him. He's like, I need to go back in. I got something on the stove. So they're like, oh, do you need us to shut that off for you? So now they can get into this 700 square foot apartment. So they go into the apartment to shut the stove off. One of the officers goes in. First, he had to figure out how it was like a hot plate. Couldn't figure it out. But while he's in there, because it was almost open concept because it was so small. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees a couple of people in the bedroom. So he's like, hey guys, out of bed. And so now other officers come in to, get dressed. It was Jose and it was Rosebelly Flores. But they're not together. I'll explain that in a minute. It's interesting. So they jump out of bed, they get dressed, and they're brought outside as well. Well, Rosebelly was not, but Jose is brought outside. Meanwhile, this officer's trying to shut off this hot plate. He's like, I don't know how this thing works. So now they've got out front of this apartment, the three brothers, and they're taking pictures of Diego. He's got tattoos all over the place, but no injuries on him. He lifts up his shirt. He's not got any injuries anywhere, just weird tattoos, like gang-related tattoos. I guess maybe they have a gang problem in Venezuela. I don't know. So then they start taking pictures of Jose Ibarra. He's got some injuries. He's got scratch marks all over him. So they take all of those pictures of the scratch marks, his arms, his back. He had a pretty good gash to his left wrist. They were saying wrist, but it was more like the pad of his hand. He said it wasn't bleeding, but it was kind of oozing like a fresh wound would ooze a little bit. They get a little weepy, So they finally get the search warrant. They go in and they seize 7 cell phones and 2 iPads. So then the next person that takes the stand is Rosebelly Flores, and she's starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together for us. So apparently they came up from Venezuela through Texas, El Paso. So from El Paso, they were bused to, now at this point, she doesn't know these guys. I don't know if she came by herself. I don't recall, but she's not with these guys. So she comes in through El Paso, bust to New York, and now they're staying at the Hilton, literally, an old Hilton that was converted for these illegal immigrants to be housed. And I do recall the bus dropping these people off in New York. So from there, she meets Jose Ibarra's mother-in-law. Jose Ibarra is married to a woman named Mei Ling. I don't know if she's going to play into this story or not. Clearly not living together. I don't know if she's even in this country. So Jose's mother-in-law introduces her to Jose. And they become friends, and Jose, by this time, Diego is already living in Athens, Georgia. And Diego tells him, hey, if you come down here, there's work for you. So they get on a bus and they come down to Georgia. So it's after this that Jimenez, what's his name? Rehenes, who had been living in Florida, comes up to Georgia. And they're all working. She gets a job at Wendy's. I guess there's a funnel for fake green cards. So they all got employment. She gets a job at Wendy's, and she also worked at a Korean restaurant where she said Jose and Diego worked as well. And then when Jimenez came up from Florida, she meets him, and then they become an item. So they're all living in this apartment. So it is a very small apartment. So in one bedroom. So, but there's 2 beds in this bedroom. So in one bed was Diego and Jose, and the other bed was her and Jimenez. Rehenes. I'm sorry. I can't keep these Spanish names straight. I'm so sorry. So the morning of the 22nd, and let me tell you something. We didn't get to see what she looked like. She did not want her face on camera. She is in custody on immigration issues. So when she passed by, they didn't show her face, but you could tell she was in, I'm not going to say prison garb, but a jumpsuit. Anyway, the night of the morning of the 22nd, she and Rehenes went to work. And she didn't say if it was Wendy's or the Korean restaurant, but Jose and Diego were at home. Then the night of the 22nd, she was outside smoking, and she saw a heavy police presence around this dumpster, and she wanted to know what was going on. And she figured out, through gossip, I'm sure, that there had been a murder on the campus. So this is when she learns about the murder. And then when she tells Jose and Diego about it, she says they didn't seem really fazed by it. She didn't get a reaction out of either one of them when she told them. She did say that Diego and Jose wear each other's clothes. Yay. So she was shown the video taken from that original apartment that was focused on the dumpster, that original video where you see this man dropping a jacket into the dumpster and the gloves into the woods. And she's like, oh, that's Jose. That's it. It's pretty damning. Yeah. So she recognized, how did you know that's him? Well, I recognized the cap. Those are his sandals. And yeah, that's him. And then when she was shown the sweater that he was putting in the dumpster, she said she had seen that sweater before on Jose. Interesting. Okay. So then we have another witness. This is the FBI agent who's assigned to a gang organized crime unit that's based in Athens, Georgia. But they also assist with major crimes like homicides, murders. So he went out to assist. And one of the things he did was cell phone analysis. He of all the phones that he received, he tested 3, 2 that belonged to Jose, which were Samsungs. One was a Samsung 14, one was a Samsung 13. And he had T-Mobile coverage on those. Then there was a cell phone from Diego, which was a Motorola phone. So someone else extracted all this through the Cellbrite software, and then it was his job to create a report analyzing all this data. And there was plenty of data. There were, based on everything that was extracted, he subpoenaed TikTok records, Snapchat records, WhatsApp records, Facebook records. What else? T-Mobile records. I don't know if there was any more. Oh, Google records. He had several Gmails, several. So in a lot of these different entries into the different apps, Jose is referring to himself as Victor Franco. So there were several images found in the first phone that belonged to Jose. He first showed that like 8 different selfies. Like, this guy likes to take selfies. But he took 2 in proximity to the murder, where he is wearing the exact same shirt and the same hat that the person that dumped the jacket into the dumpster was wearing. And he has on this, he carries this weird backpack. And he has that, and he had that backpack on when he was dumping the jacket into the dumpster, but he also has that backpack during several of the photographs. On the night of February 21st, the night before the murder, the phone showed that at 9:30 p.m., this is location data, that, or maybe bank record, I don't know, some record that was on the phone. It's in a report. The judge is going to see this report in its entirety. I'm sure it's chronological, but they were just kind of highlighting the more salient points. So the judge is going to see a lot more than we saw. But one of the things pointed out was at 9:30 p.m., the night before, there's a purchase from Tallboy Liquor within walking distance of his apartment. Then at 2:21 a.m. on the 22nd, he makes a call through WhatsApp to his brother Diego, and Diego does not answer. Then he does a Snapchat photo of himself at 4:30 a.m. And then again at 5 a.m. And then he creates a video where he puts those 2 photos together, and he runs some music over the video. Now, it's all in Spanish, the lyrics. But they did take those lyrics and have them interpreted. I haven't gotten to that testimony yet. So it was translated. I'm curious what the lyrics said. And I will get back to that in the next video and let you know what that was said. Then the location data said that at those photos that were at 4:30 and 5 a.m. were taken from his home. He was home when he took those photos. Takes another selfie at 5:37 a.m. So he doesn't sleep that night, and he's drunk. And he's wearing the jacket. Then we know that there was that dumpster video at 9:47. At 9:58, the phone is plugged into a charger. So this timeline is all adding up to it being Jose. At 6:27, there was an outgoing call from Jose, and then that's on the 22nd. This was the call detail records. So at 6:27 a.m., he makes an outgoing phone call, and then there's no outgoing messages, and again until 11:55. So the murders are over. He's dumped everything before he starts using his cell phone again. Then he talked a little bit about the phone that was associated with Diego, and it basically it was a burner phone, and it had not been used. There had been no activity on that phone since mid-January. So there was really nothing there to analyze, basically. And that's as far as I have gotten in the testimony. But I tuned in this morning, and they are showing more footage of Jose that was caught on various cameras throughout the university. So that's going to be really interesting. So I will see you guys tomorrow in the video for day 3 recap. And have a great day, everybody. Bye.